Hi all. Now, today we are going to do profitable growth with great developer experience, kind of introduction to what is the key aspect of API economy and oftentimes also platform economy. And the key thing with API economy definitely is that the customers are often developers. So we talk about business to developers, B2D business model instead of just B2B or B2C, like with businesses or consumers. And now the thing about this is, as a business model, that you can do it very unprofitably or profitably. So the idea is that you can just completely ignore your developers and developer experience, or you can actually make it so that it actually is very profitable for you. So while the amount of developers is actually growing and they're using your APIs, you actually spend less time supporting them if you consider what you are doing. And of course, there's the whole question of why should you let developers, or why should you want developers to use your APIs? That's one question. But assuming you do, then you want to do it profitably. And my name is Markka-Niina, and this is Osaango Academy live stream today about the topics of API economy and platform economy. And today we are talking about this developer experience a little bit. And so basically the whole idea is, of course, in any product, be it APIs or something else, that you should create value with it to your customers, but also that means that you need to think about creating a value proposition. So value proposition basically says that, okay, for these customer needs, our product is creating this value with these features. You have to always start from customer expectations and needs. You can't, or you shouldn't, start from like, I really, really know that I want to do this product, I want to do this kind of API, and I just hope that everybody else will like it too. I mean, that's one way, but it might not be the most profitable way. So we have a program in Osaango Academy now called the Profitable Growth with Great Developer Experience. And obviously, we'd love all of you to join that. But even if you don't, if you consider developer experience and developers as an important customer segment for you, you should, of course, think about like if you are a startup founder, obviously, if you have your startup product including APIs or a platform relying on APIs, so you might actually be a developer yourself, or kind of your company could consume a lot of other companies' APIs. So the developer experience might be important for you in that sense when you're making purchasing decisions or partnership decisions. But of course, if you are a provider of APIs or API related products, so you want to make sure that your developer experience is very good. Then if we go above the startups, so we have, of course, business management professionals in charge of a certain business area in a bigger corporation. It might be that you're changing your business into a more developer suitable business model, or you are actually considering this only as a one possible business model or one product area. And of course, if you are a professional in customer service, in product management, marketing, service design, enterprise architecture, software architecture, you should always consider that you might be involved in the developer experience, or especially making it more or less profitable. So if you find yourself in any of these roles, you should consider listening more. And so value proposition. Well, when we design the developer experience program, we actually consider that what are the things that you really need to kind of do to feel yourself successful. And we came up with kind of lots of experience, lots of discussion with lots of different professionals and using APIs ourselves. So like you should be able to design a prototype of an API, and you should be able to validate how well the developer experience works and validate your idea that your API is supporting. So the value proposition of the API. Why should a customer use it? And so you should know why developer experience fits into your business idea, or if you're a consultant or somebody, so to your customer's business idea. You should, of course, know what good developer experience looks like when you see it, and you should know how to make the developer experience work for you, so to make it profitable. And so what if we go back to the definition of developer experience and API economy, so developer experience, first of all, has not been researched a lot, especially in the context of APIs. So developer experience is a combination of the technical design of the APIs and the methods used in designing customer experience and usability. But there's a catch for developers, because it's not just a pretty UI or a UI where you can find things easily or makes your user flow nice. It's also about the coding and the coding tools and response times of the API, security of the API, how easy the API itself and all the documentation is to learn. So it's kind of having those same things as customer experience and, for example, web design or website usability or any user interface usability. But then there's additional stuff. We'll come back to that a bit later. In the book I was writing with my co-authors, API Economy 101, we actually defined the whole developer experience as a good developer experience enables quick first-time success, demonstrates further opportunities, is easy to deploy, and increases customer satisfaction. Ideal experience is created throughout the lifecycle of an API. So developer experience of an API is not just about the technical design of the interface or how readable is the documentation. It's so much more. And actually, that's why Jarkko Moilanen, who was also one of the co-authors of the book, but has been kind of living and breathing this developer experience for some years now, we talked together and we decided that, yes, we need a course on this. This is a very big topic that people just need to understand. But anyway, let's go to kind of like what builds the developer experience. So first of all, from a research point of view, there are three main paradigms that we are able to find. So one is that there's a developer journey, which is pretty much like a customer journey in any customer experience design or service design. So that's, of course, when a developer kind of becomes the customer of a company that actually provides APIs. Then there's the second way of looking at things. So this is a cognitive and kind of a technical method of analyzing developer experience, and the developer experience is a result of API lifecycle. And so this is a bit scary picture, but this is actually something that I have adapted from an article by Lemon and Verhoeven. So they were doing a very nice article on understanding the customer experience throughout the customer journey and in context of B2B customers, which is rare itself already, because a lot of the research is concentrating on consumers. And in this case, I kind of adapted to the developer journey. So the nice thing about this particular model is that it understands that there are previous experiences and there are future experiences. The previous experiences of being a customer of any service or any product company impacts how you think about the next time that you are a customer of any company, the same or a different company. And the same thing applies specifically in developer experience, depending on which APIs you have been used to and how easy or difficult they have been to deploy, or how easily you have been interacting with the company and the API previously. That impacts on what you think about the developer experience of the next API that you're interacting with. Or if you have never ever been a customer of an API or API providing company before, or even used API before, you have no expectations, or you have totally wrong expectations of what an API even is. And so you will need different kind of support on the journey. So the journey itself is pretty standard. So there's like awareness, engagement phase, comparison, nurture, transact, usage, advocacy phases. So there are these kind of stages of what does the developer think and feel and do in each of those phases. And remember, you can even have different channels where you sell your API. So it can be your own brand, company brand that owns the channel. It can be the company website or company developer portal. But it can also be a partner's portal or partner's website or an API marketplace. It can be your customer's marketplace or website or some other channel. It can even be an email or phone call made to sell your API. And it can be, a lot of times it actually is some kind of a social media channel. Social media, including things like Gitter and Stack Overflow and Discord and all kinds of kind of more developer-focused social media channels. And you have to think about search engine optimizations and a lot of other things when you're doing the kind of planning for the developer experience. And obviously, there are going to be other companies' APIs for this exact same thing. So in here, in this example, we have an image detection API. So there are lots of companies that are selling that kind of an API or a similar solution to solve that problem. So how is your API comparing to those? Or if you are the buying party, what are the differences between the different providers? So throughout the journey, like how easy it is to understand what the API does, how much it costs, how easy it is to start learning it. Do you have to wait for a call from a sales guy, or can you just start using it? Do you have to pay first, or is there a trial period? And of course, how do you get support? And you might be looking at how what are others saying about this particular API, and that might have a huge impact. Or if people are doing a nice tutorial videos, like for Stripe, for example, there was a lot of videos even from the beginning by totally different parties who were actually kind of teaching how to do things with Stripe API. And that was a huge impact to their business. Okay, so that was the developer journey point of view. But what about the developer experience from a kind of more of a feelings point of view? So a Finnish researcher, Fagerholm, and then this guy Munk were doing this research paper already in 2012. And they were researching developer experience, not in terms of APIs, but in general. And they're one of the very few people who have actually done any kind of framework for developer experience. And this framework is looking at kind of what is happening inside of the developer's head when they are considering the development infrastructure, what are they kind of feeling about their work, and what does the artifact, the program, or in this case API, make them feel about it. How do developers see the value of their contribution if it's an open source or somehow like shared? So for example, for APIs, you might have a community support, and you might get kind of a feeling of being a very good person or a guru on a certain area if you contribute and support the other users there. So how does that make you feel? How does that actually impact what you feel about the whole API or the whole program there? So all of these are very important things to research, and this is one view of looking at the developer experience. Now, the thing that didn't really have any research, and I'm still hoping somebody would actually start researching it more, is that what happens throughout the API's lifecycle? How do you actually plan and design and work your way into this very good developer experience? And even before you actually have the API ready, like doing all the stuff that it needs to do, when you just have the idea of an API or you have the prototype of an API, how do you plan and do the whole API development and manage the API to secure that you have developer experience throughout the life cycle? This means that when you're just designing it, that you are actually considering what the actual developers and developer segments, customer segments, aka developer segments are needing, what are their particular, for example, technologies, or what kind of usage are they planning, what kind of features are they needing, what data they need. But also when it's in production, how do you measure the quality of the developer experience? How do you measure how much time it takes to give customer support, or how much time they need to wait until they get their bugs fixed, or how much does it take time to actually get info about a new version, or do you just kind of push a new version of the API out there and they will scream their heads off in the social media that, hey, now these guys broke our stuff because they just went ahead and changed the interface and didn't even warn us. So how are you going to handle all of these phases? And that's where APIOps Cycles method that I was one of the kind of the mother of the method, but I was one of the team that was developing it originally, and it's all available in the internet, so you can go to apiopscycles.com and just start using it. We have a course in the Osaango Academy that you can do for the foundation certification, and it's licensed by a Creative Commons by SA license, so you're actually able to use it for your business, and the only limitation is that the APIOps trademark is it's basically for Osaango, so we are giving it to the community of APIOps users to use. So we have APIOps meetups in Helsinki, Tampere in Finland, in Dallas and Atlanta in US, and hopefully also other places next. But the idea is that you are able to use it yourself whenever. And so basically what we thought that this would help when we developed this course for the profitable developer experience was that kind of what you as a API developer or business owner of a company that develops APIs, for example, what would you expect? So you have you would like probably to build an API and all the things needed for the developer experience, and you would want them to result into profitable business. And you often there are product managers that contact us by saying, hey, I need to start API sales really, or I need to increase API sales. How do I do it? Or for example, we had a customer from US who said that, hey, we get so many support questions for our API. It's really kind of starting to gain so much traffic that we are drowning in all of these questions. How do we do this? How do we also get more good reviews from developers? Now we get some feedback. We don't know what is actually broken. So, and we know that it's important to understand how developers think about your product, be it the API itself or an actual product where the API is connected to. And it's important to know which channels to use so that you actually attract the right segments of developers. And the pains we get from, especially from service designers and business owners and other people who are not developers themselves. So when they're designing developer experience, it's of course a bit difficult if you don't know how developers actually work. If you don't know about coding tools, you haven't used an API yourself, you don't understand how they think, and sometimes also the technical people have difficulties because they might not have considered the marketing or customer experience design at all, and don't have skills to do it. So, and there was even one company in a meetup where they were thinking of that. Why are the developers not interested in our product? We have such great APIs, and the managers of the companies are interested. But actually, what they were lacking was that they had a very specific group of developers, age group and otherwise kind of industry group, and those developers had completely different needs than what these developers were thinking about developer experience. So these are important things to know to any product, but specifically for these APIs as a product. But I hope that you got some ideas about API-based business and what you need to consider here and what is developer experience. And maybe you had some questions, maybe you had some kind of ideas, or you disagree about something. So just go ahead and drop us a line in the Osaango Academy chat, or just look at the course, or just shoot us an email. So info@osaango.com, or grab me in LinkedIn. See you.